suffering. This is the difference between their apparent characteristics. In fact, non-hatred has no substance of its own, while non-harming is conventionally established by virtue of being an aspect of non-hatred. The two are distinguished in order to show the two characteristics of compassion and sympathy, because benefiting sentient beings and making them happy are the essentials of the two characteristics. According to one interpretation, non-harming is not the same as non-hatred and has its own substance, which is goodness. We ask, what is the characteristic of non-harming? They reply, non-injury. We reply, non-hatred is also non-injury, so how can it have a nature of its own? Non-injury of sentient beings, sympathy and compassion, and goodness are all non-hatred.
The word "and" in the 30 verses indicates that there are other mental activities besides the 11 specified in the verses, i.e., good mental activities such as delight and loathing. They are not specifically mentioned because even though they have various names with distinct meanings, they are no different in substance from those specified. For instance, delight is an aspect of non-hatred associated with desire, because it is non-irritation with regard to a pleasing object. The same is true of non-resentment, non-irritation, non-vexation, non-jealousy, etc., because each opposes an aspect of hatred. Disgust or loathing is an aspect of non-craving associated with discernment, because there is no defiled attachment to disgusting objects. You should realize that the same is true of non-avarice, non-pride, etc., because they each oppose an aspect of non-craving. Non-hypocrisy, non-deception, and non-flattery are aspects of non-craving and non-delusion, because, as aspects of non-craving and non-delusion, they are accordingly opposed to aspects of craving and delusion.
There is an interpretation that non-hypocrisy is merely an aspect of non-collusion, because nowhere is it claimed that hypocrisy is an aspect of craving. There are several interpretations of non-pride. It is an aspect of faith, because there is no self-pride concerning something that is doubtful. It is an aspect of indifference, because there is no arrogance or pride when the mind is equitable. It is an aspect of conscience, because one is not proud with regard to something that is respected. As for non-doubt, there are also several interpretations. It is included in faith, because one has no doubt about what is believed. It is included in perfect resolve, because that which is certain does not generate doubt. It is included in perfect discernment, because there is no doubt about that which is perfectly viewed.
The substance of non-distraction is included in perfect samadhi, and perfect views and perfect knowing are both good discernment. Non-forgetting is the same as perfect memory. Repentance, drowsiness, and applied and sustained thought are either defiled or non-defiled, like contact, desire, etc., and have no opposites. Why are the good, mental activities, that oppose defiled ones listed separately in the list of 11, while others are not? They are listed because they have special characteristics and functions. This is not so of the other good, mental activities. It is not necessary. Also, due to the predominance of defiled dharmas found throughout the first 6 consciousnesses, these good dharmas are therefore listed separately to oppose them.
Pride, etc., and anger, etc., are only associated with mental consciousness. Although the same is true of harming, still, since it occurs frequently and causes injury to others, blocking the predominant cause of the supreme vehicle, which is compassion, its opposite is established to indicate its extreme, excessive nature. Loss of memory, distraction, and imperfect knowing are opposites of mental activities with specific objects, not good ones, therefore they are not mentioned among the good, mental activities. Defiled and pure, mental activities, are opposed, so why are there fewer pure ones than defiled ones? Because the pure ones are strong, while the defiled ones are weak, and the few are a match for the many. Also, in explaining principles, it is said that the many, pure dharmas, are of the same substance, while defiled dharmas, that delude the feelings are multiplied according to their characteristics. Therefore there is no need for criticizing the number of defiled and pure dharmas. 3 of these 11 exist in name only, i.e., vigilance, indifference, and non-harming, as mentioned earlier. The other 8 really exist, because they have distinct natures and functions.
15. Universality. There is an interpretation that of the 11 good mental activities, 4 are found in all good minds, because vigor and the 3 roots of good fill the category of good. This is not necessarily true of the remaining 7. The reasons are as follows. When one is uncertain when examining something or principle, there is no faith. Conscience and sense of shame are the same species but differ depending on the support and the situation, so when one occurs, the other does not. Serenity exists only at the point where the passions are eliminated by the mundane path. Vigilance and indifference arise only at the time of the undefiled path. Non-harming only exists when there is compassion for sentient beings. The Yogacarabhiimi, Sastra locates the 11 in 6 states. Faith is associated with the state of certainty. When the defilements have ended, conscience and sense of shame occur with reference to oneself and others, respectively. Vigor and the 3 roots exist in one of good disposition. Serenity occurs on the mundane path. Indifference and vigilance occur on the supramundance path. Non-harming exists when one attends to beings.
According to another interpretation, that explanation is still not reasonable, because if faith does not occur when one examines events or principles, and one is uncertain, this is not a good state, in the same way that defiled mind, etc., is not good since pure faith is absent. Also, conscience and the sense of shame have the same objects, though their species and supports differ, and both are found in all good minds, as explained earlier. And if serenity does not occur on the supramundane path, then this aspect of awakening, bodhiraiga, is not pure. If there is no indifference and vigilance on the mundane path, then there will be no calm in combating evil and cultivating the good, and one could not subdue agitation and carelessness. The impure, good mind has 4 dharmas, consisting of vigor and the 3 roots of good, because the mundane path, like the supramundane path, must have these 2 dharmas. Also, when the mind is good, one does not harm beings, because it opposes dharmas that harm. Therefore there is non-harming.
When the Yogacarabhiimi, Sastra speaks of 11 mental activities occurring in 6 states, it is speaking of their increased activity in relation to such and such states. Therefore the points we criticized are incorrect. It should be said that of the 11 dharmas, faith, etc., 10 are found in all good minds. Serenity is not universal, because one must be in Samadhi for it to occur, and a composed body and mind are absent in other states. The Vinascaya Sambrahani says, 10 good mental activities are found in all good minds, whether or not there is a stage of Samadhi, but in the stage of Samadhi, there is an increase of serenity in the mind. There is an interpretation that stage of Samadhi applies also to preparatory stages to Samadhi, because there is a subtle composure even there. Hence the realm of desire also has serenity in it. If this is not so, there is a contradiction with the Yogacarabhiimi Sastra statement that the 11 good mental activities are found in all stages. Another interpretation claims that serenity is found only in Samadhi, because composure is the result of the nourishing features of Samadhi.
The Yogacarabhiimi Sastra says that mind and mental activities associated with the realm of desire are called non-samadhi, because they are devoid of serenity. When it says that the 11 good mental activities are found in all stages, it refers to the 3 stages of applied and sustained thought, etc., which are beyond the realm of desire. We have already explained that the 11 kinds of good mental activities may or may not exist in the 7th and 8th consciousnesses depending on the state of development. They all exist in the 6th consciousness in a state of samadhi, except that if samadhi does not occur, there is no serenity. According to one interpretation, there are only 10 associated with the first 5 consciousnesses, because they are by nature distracted and unstable and devoid of serenity. According to another interpretation, serenity is associated with these 5 consciousnesses, because when they are good, as a result of the